day, I decided to organize my socks. The drawer had been bothering me for a while. It was messy, with socks mixed together. Some crumpled, some twisted, and a few that had clearly been shoved in carelessly. I opened the drawer slowly, feeling the soft scrape of the wood as it slid outward. There was something oddly satisfying about that sound, soft and subtle, like the beginning of a quiet ritual. I paused for a moment, just listening before reaching inside. I took each sock out, one by one. Some were smooth, some slightly rough, and a few had that worn, almost soft fuzziness that comes from being loved and used too much. I held each sock carefully, noticing its color, its texture, its shape. Everything felt deliberate, slow, calming. First, I picked up the white socks. Their bright, clean color made me smile softly. I lined them up neatly on the bed, folding each one perfectly, stacking them gently one on top of the other. I touched each sock, softly smoothing any creases, enjoying the simple sensation of the fabric between my fingers. Next, I reached for the black socks. They were thicker, heavier in my hands, and I noticed that one had a small hole near the heel. I placed it aside carefully, thinking it might be useful later, perhaps for cleaning or for another purpose where perfection wasn't necessary. Then came the colorful socks, blue, green, red, and a few with tiny patterns, some stripes, some dots. I took my time matching each pair, making sure the colors aligned, the patterns were facing the same way, and the socks looked uniform and pleasing. I folded them slowly, deliberately, enjoying the repetitive motion. There was something soothing about this task. I could feel my mind quieting down as I focused only on the socks, on their textures, on the gentle sounds of folding and stacking. After a while, I adjusted them slightly, ensuring they were perfectly aligned. The drawer now orderly and peaceful. The sight of the neatly folded socks brought a strange sense of satisfaction. It was a small accomplishment, yet it felt meaningful. I leaned back for a moment, closing my eyes, and felt a wave of calm wash over me. The sensation was subtle at first, like a gentle breeze brushing against my skin. I could hear the faint hum of the room around me, the soft ticking of the clock on the wall, the distant rustle of leaves outside the window, the muted sound of my own breath as I settled into stillness. It was as if the world had slowed down just enough for me to notice the small, delicate details I usually overlooked. Each sound seemed magnified in a comforting way, delicate and soothing, wrapping around me like a soft, invisible blanket. There was a sense of peace in completing such a simple, mundane task. It was strange how something so ordinary could bring such satisfaction. Folding socks, lining them up, noticing each color and texture. It all felt purposeful, almost meditative. I realized that these small, repetitive actions allowed my mind to rest. There were no surprises, no sudden jolts, no demands from the outside world. The act itself was quiet, predictable, and deliberate, giving me a sense of control and tranquility. I could almost feel the rhythm of the task syncing with my heartbeat. Slow and steady, comforting in its simplicity. The world outside seemed distant, almost irrelevant. Traffic noises, people talking, the constant buzz of daily life. All of it felt like it belonged somewhere else, far away, like a story I was only partially hearing. Here, in this small corner of my room, time felt elastic, stretching just enough to let me breathe, to let me be. The drawer, now neatly organized, seemed almost symbolic of order and calm. Every sock folded, every pair matched, represented a small victory over chaos. However minor it might seem to someone else, I had focused on something so ordinary, yet in doing so, I had created a tiny pocket of quiet in my day. It was as if the room itself had acknowledged the effort, settling into a more peaceful state alongside me. I could feel the calm spreading from my chest to my shoulders, down my arms, into my hands, even into my legs as I sat there. The gentle rhythm of my breathing matched the rhythm of the day. satisfied. The feeling was subtle at first, a gentle warmth that spread through my chest and slowly flowed outward to the tips of my fingers and toes. It was quiet, soft, almost imperceptible, but persistent, like a delicate hum vibrating beneath the surface of everything. I let myself notice it fully, feeling the weight of stillness settle comfortably around me, as if the room itself had taken a deep, slow breath and paused with me. A quiet joy settled over me. Soft but persistent, the kind that lingers long after the task is done. It was not a loud or rushing happiness, but a calm, steady presence that made the world seem gentler, slower, more expansive. Each small movement, even the smallest shift in my posture, seemed deliberate and meaningful. I could feel the texture of the chair beneath me, the smoothness of the floor under my feet, the faint brush of air against my skin. Everything was noticeable and yet unobtrusive, like a melody that is barely there but completes the song. The ordinary had become extraordinary. The simplest gestures, the folding of a sock, the slow, deliberate inhalation of breath, the faint creak of the floorboards seemed profound. I realized that these ordinary moments, often overlooked, held an unnoticed weight of beauty. Even silence, unbroken and complete, had its own resonance. It was a melody of calm, a rhythm that made each second feel rich and deep, as if time itself had slowed to allow me to savor it fully. The simple had become profound. I noticed the way my chest rose and fell with each slow breath, the way my fingers rested lightly in my lap, the way my eyes rested on the gentle, shifting shadows in the room. There was a sense of completeness, a sense of rightness in the way things were at that moment. Nothing was missing, nothing was urgent. The world outside, the noises, the hurried footsteps, the constant rush of life felt distant, like it belonged to someone else, somewhere far away. Here, in this small pocket of time, everything was perfect in its simplicity. I allowed myself to remain in that stillness for a while longer, savoring each slow, almost imperceptible moment. I felt each second stretching gently, giving me space to notice the quiet rhythm of my surroundings, the soft play of light across the walls, the faint rhythmic sound of my own heartbeat. Each moment filled me with quiet peace, a soft reassurance that everything was okay, that life could be gentle, that satisfaction could be found in the smallest of acts, and let the calm linger like a soft whisper in the air around me. It wrapped around my mind, a gentle cocoon that made everything feel lighter, easier, and softer. There was no rush, no urgency, no expectation, just quiet, just stillness, just a soft, persistent, almost invisible joy that comes from noticing the beauty in ordinary moments. In that quiet, I realized that contentment, calm, and satisfaction were not faraway things to chase. They were already here, in the gentle rhythm of the present, waiting for me to notice, waiting for me to breathe, waiting for me to simply be.